Vincent had never planned on this. Seattle was supposed to be a fresh start, a city of fog-shrouded hills and coffee shops that promised reinvention after the wreckage of his last relationship back in Portland. At 25, with a portfolio of digital illustrations under his arm and a freelance gig lined up at a boutique ad agency downtown, he figured crashing in a sublet would be temporary, just until he found his footing. The ad for the room in Capitol Hill had seemed perfect. Cozy two-bedroom in a pre-war brick building. Utilities included. Roommate described as chill creative type. No drama. The rent was half what he'd pay alone. And the photos showed exposed brick walls. A fire escape overlooking a courtyard of dripping ferns. He emailed the guy, Elias, without a second thought. Elias met him at the door on a drizzly Tuesday afternoon, wearing a threadbare flannel shirt over paint-splattered jeans. His black hair cropped short and tousled like he'd just rolled out of bed. He was 27, with olive skin that spoke of some Mediterranean ancestry, Greek, maybe, or Italian, and warm brown eyes that crinkled at the corners when he smiled. Vincent, right? Come on in, man. Ignore the chaos. I'm between gigs. The apartment smelled like fresh ground coffee and wet dog, though there was no dog in sight. Elias worked as a barista at a spot in Fremont, but his real passion was photography, freelance shoots for local bands, and portraits that captured the raw edges of people's lives. His side of the living room was an explosion of prints pinned to the walls. Moody black and whites of Puget Sound at dusk, a drag queen midlaugh in the neon glow of Pike Place. Vincent dropped his duffel by the couch, taking it all in. The space was lived in, the kind of place where sunlight filtered through sheer curtains and cast patterns on scuffed hardwood floors. His room was at the end of a short hall, small but with a queen bed that sagged in the middle, a dresser scarred from who knows what, and a window that overlooked the alley where cats yowled at night. "This'll do," Vincent said, forcing a grin. He was 5'11", lean from too many late nights hunched over his tablet, with hazel eyes that his ex had called stormy, and dark hair that refused to stay combed. Back in Portland, he'd been the straight guy in a string of casual flings with women who never stuck, each one leaving him more hollow. Here, he told himself, things would change. No more chasing shadows. The first week blurred into a rhythm of early mornings and shared silences. Vincent would brew coffee in the chipped French press while Elias sketched thumbnails for his next shoot, the steam rising like ghosts in the cool air. They'd nod over breakfast, oatmeal for Vincent, avocado toast for Elias, and part ways. Vincent to the agency, where he mocked up logos for craft breweries, Elias to the cafe, slinging lattes with a charm that drew tips like magnets. Evenings brought them back together, the apartment filling with the low hum of vinyl records. Elias had a collection of indie folk that Vincent pretended to hate, but secretly looped in his headphones. It started small those evenings. A shared pizza after Vincent's brutal deadline. Elias cracking open a microbrew and saying, "To surviving the grind." Laughter came easy, the kind that loosened the knots in Vincent's chest. Elias had a way of listening, really listening, his head tilted just so, fingers drumming on his knee. He talked about growing up in a sleepy suburb outside Spokane, the son of a mechanic dad and a teacher mom who baked pies for church fundraisers. Coming out at 17 had been a quiet rebellion. No fireworks, just a conversation over meatloaf where his parents hugged him tighter than before. "They didn't get it at first," Elias admitted one night, sprawled on the couch with his feet up. "But love's love, right? They showed up to my first gallery thing with signs and everything." Vincent nodded, sipping his beer, feeling a pang he couldn't name. His own family was scattered. Dad in Texas, remarried. Mom in Chicago, buried in her nursing shifts. No one to call home to. By the end of the month, the sublet felt less like a crash pad and more like a pulse. Vincent's designs started incorporating Elias's photos, subtle nods, like the grainy texture of rain-slicked streets in a beer label. Elias noticed, of course. "Stealing my aesthetic? I charge for that." He'd tease, but his eyes lingered, warm and appraising. Vincent brushed it off as roommate banter, but late at night, alone in his room, he'd replay the moments. Elias's hand brushing his when passing the remote, the way his laugh filled the space like sunlight breaking clouds. The power outage hit on a Friday, the kind of freak storm that Seattle prided itself on. Lights flickered out mid-Netflix binge, plunging the apartment into inky black save for the occasional flash of lightning. "Great," Vincent muttered, fumbling for his phone's flashlight. Elias chuckled from the kitchen, where he'd been chopping veggies for stir-fry. "Old building. Happens all the time. Grab blankets. We're going analog." They ended up on the couch, fort-like with quilts dragged from both beds, a battery lantern casting golden pools on the walls. Elias pulled out a deck of cards. Go fish, of all things, and they played by the flickering light, knees bumping, shoulders close enough to feel the heat. Hours slipped by, the storm raging outside. Elias won the last round, crowing softly, then leaned back, stretching his arms overhead. "You know, you're not what I expected in a roommate." Vincent glanced over, the lantern light carving shadows on Elias's face. "Yeah? What's that mean?" Elias's gaze held steady. "Most guys your age are all bravado. You're real. Like, you carry shit around but don't let it drown you." The words landed heavy, stirring something deep in Vincent's gut. He looked away, focusing on the rain's relentless tattoo. "Haven't always been good at that." Silence stretched, comfortable yet charged. Elias shifted, the couch creaking, and Vincent felt the air thicken. Then, under the blanket's cover, Elias's hand moved. Slow, deliberate, fingertips grazing Vincent's knee, then higher, along the seam of his jeans. Vincent's breath hitched, every nerve igniting. This wasn't happening. Couldn't be. But Elias didn't pull back. His touch was a question, soft and insistent, thumbs circling in a way that sent heat pooling low. Vincent's mind screamed, "Stop, push away, this isn't you." But his body betrayed him, leaning in fractionally, pulse thundering. Elias's eyes searched his in the dim light, vulnerable, waiting. And Vincent, he didn't stop him. The hand climbed, palm pressing warm against his thigh, and the world narrowed to that point of contact, the rain fading to a distant roar. When it happened, it was like a dam breaking. Elias's lips found Vincent's in the dark, tentative at first. A brush, a question. Then deepening as Vincent responded, hands fisting in Elias's shirt. They tumbled under the quilts, breaths mingling, bodies aligning in a frantic dance of discovery. Clothes shed in whispers, skin against skin, the storm outside paling against the one within. Elias was gentle, reverent, mapping Vincent's body with kisses that trailed fire. Vincent gasped, overwhelmed, the line he'd towed his whole life blurring into oblivion. It wasn't just release. It was revelation, raw and terrifying. Afterward, they lay tangled, the lantern sputtering low. Elias traced lazy patterns on Vincent's chest, voice husky. "You okay?" Vincent nodded into the crook of his neck, words failing. For the first time in years, the hollow felt filled. But as the power hummed back on, lights flickering to life, doubt crept in like the dawn. What now? Who was he, really? The next morning, sunlight pierced the curtains, turning the living room into a haze of gold. Vincent woke alone on the couch, blankets folded neatly beside him, a note on the coffee table. "Made eggs. Join when ready." The normalcy of it stung. Elias in the kitchen, humming to some indie track, spatula in hand. Vincent pulled on his jeans, heart hammering anew, and patted in. Elias glanced over, smile easy. "Sleep okay?" As if nothing had shifted. Vincent forced a nod, sliding onto a stool, watching Elias plate scrambled eggs with chives. They ate in companionable quiet, the clink of forks the only sound, but under the table Elias's foot nudged his, a secret anchor. Days blurred into a tentative new normal. At work, Vincent's sketches took on bolder lines, colors bleeding like emotions he couldn't contain. Elias's shifts ended with late-night texts. "Grabbing foe? Your treat." They'd wander Capitol Hill streets, neon signs reflecting in puddles, sharing bowls of steaming broth under the eaves of hole-in-the-wall spots. Elias opened up more stories of failed shoots, the ex who'd ghosted him after Pride, leaving scars that still itched. "Thought I was over it." He'd say, eyes distant. But trust. It's a bitch. Vincent listened, sharing fragments of his own fractures. The girlfriend who'd called him distant. The family dinners where he'd felt like a ghost. One evening, after a rooftop party at a neighbor's, string lights and craft cocktails, Elias pulled Vincent into the stairwell, kissing him against the cool brick. "Come to my show tomorrow," he murmured. "It's at that gallery in Ballard." Vincent agreed, buzzed on more than beer, and the next night found him in a crowded space, walls lined with Elias's prints. Intimate portraits of queer joy, faces lit with unfiltered light. Pride swelled in Vincent's chest as strangers murmured approval. But when Elias caught his eye across the room, it was more. A pull, magnetic and deep, yet cracks formed. Vincent caught himself staring at women on the bus, wondering if this was a phase, a fluke born of loneliness. Elias noticed the hesitations, the way Vincent tensed at casual touches in public. "Talk to me," he'd say, voice soft over takeout tie. Vincent deflected, burying in work, but the questions gnawed. Was he gay? Bi? Just broken? The blanket night replayed in dreams, waking him sweat-slicked and aching. Fall deepened, leaves turning the parks to fire. They hiked Discovery Park one crisp Saturday, boots crunching trails, salt air whipping their faces. At the bluff overlooking the sound, Elias stopped, turning Vincent to face him. "I don't do halfway," he said, hands framing Vincent's jaw. It's real for me." Vincent's throat tightened, the words a mirror to his fear. He kissed Elias fiercely, pouring silence into action. But inside, the storm brewed. Winter crept in like a thief, frosting the windows and turning breaths to visible ghosts. Vincent's freelance load ramped up, a campaign for a local distillery demanding endless revisions, and he buried himself in it, using pixels as shields. Elias respected the space, leaving thermoses of coffee on the desk, scribbling notes like, "Fuel for the genius." But the distance grew, a subtle chill amid the holiday lights twinkling along Broadway. They decorated the apartment on a whim, stringing garlands from the salvaged lumber Elias scored from a demo site. Vincent balanced precariously on a chair, pinning tinsel while Elias blasted Bing Crosby remakes by queer indie artists. Laughter echoed, easy as ever. But when Elias wrapped arms around Vincent's waist from behind, pulling him down into a kiss that tasted of pine and promise, Vincent stiffened. Just a fraction, enough to feel the hesitation echo. Elias pulled back, eyes searching. "What's going on in that head of yours?" Vincent slid to the floor, legs folding under him. The living room felt too small, the tree they'd half-assembled looming like a judgmental sentinel. "I don't know," he admitted, voice rough. This is good. Too good, maybe. And I'm scared I'll fuck it up." Elias sat beside him, knee to knee, his presence a steady warmth. "Scared how? Talk to me, Vin." The nickname slipped out soft, intimate, and Vincent's chest ached with it. He confessed in fragments, the confusion after the blanket, the way he'd always pictured a life with a wife, kids, the white picket fever dream his mom spun over phone calls. "What if I'm just experimenting, using you to fill a void?" Elias's face didn't crumple. It softened, understanding etching lines around his mouth. "Hey, labels are bullshit half the time. But feelings? They're not. I see you, Vincent, the way you light up when you nail a design, how you hum off-key in the shower. This isn't a void. It's us." He leaned in, forehead to forehead, and Vincent let the tears come, silent and hot. That night, they made love slow, deliberate, Elias whispering affirmations like prayers. "You're enough, just as you are." The agency holiday party was a glittering affair at a loft in Belltown, exposed beams dripping with icicles of light. Vincent arrived solo. Elias had a late shift, but spotted him across the room later, weaving through suits with a tray of spiced cider. Their eyes met, a spark in the crowd, and Elias made his way over, casual as if he'd always belonged. Introductions flowed. Vincent's boss, a sharp-witted woman named Riley, clapped Elias on the back. The photographer? Saw your work online. Killer stuff. Pride bloomed in Vincent, fierce and unbidden. They danced later, bodies swaying to a jazz cover band. Elias's hand low on his back, thumb tracing circles that grounded him. But Seattle's underbelly whispered doubts. A client email praised Vincent's straight-edge aesthetic, the word twisting like a knife. At a dive bar with agency colleagues, banter turned to hookups. One guy ribbing Vincent about his mysterious vibe. Got a girl hidden away? Laughter rippled, and Vincent forced a chuckle, Elias's name burning on his tongue unsaid. Back home, he paced the kitchen while Elias edited photos on his laptop. They assume, that I'm straight. Normal. Elias looked up, closing the screen. And? You gonna let assumptions define you? The question hung sharp. New Year's Eve found them at a house party in Fremont. The air thick with champagne and bass from a DJ spinning house remixes. Fireworks cracked over the canal as midnight struck. And in the crush of bodies, Elias pulled Vincent into a kiss that drowned out the cheers. Cheers for them, maybe, or just the new year. Either way, it felt like a vow. They stumbled home through snow-dusted streets, hands linked, collapsing into bed with giggles and greedy touches. Elias's body moved over his like a tide, pulling Vincent under, and for those hours, doubt dissolved. January brought resolutions and regrets. Vincent started therapy on a whim, a sliding scale spot recommended by a coworker. The counselor, a no-nonsense woman named Theo with salt and pepper hair, listened without flinching as he unpacked the blanket night, the labels that chafed. Sexuality isn't a light switch, she said. It's a spectrum, and you're walking it. Sessions bled into sketches, abstract forms of tangled limbs, colors bleeding into acceptance. He showed one to Elias over dinner, pad thai from the corner spot. Elias traced the lines, eyes soft. This is beautiful. You. But external pressures mounted. Vincent's mom called from Chicago, voice tinny over the line. Seeing anyone special? That nice girl from Portland. He hedged, stomach nodding, and hung up with a lie curdling inside. Elias overheard the tail end, retreating to his room without a word. The silence stretched days, broken only by polite passings. Vincent cornered him in the bathroom one morning. Toothbrush paused midair. Talk to me, please. Elias sighed, leaning against the sink. I get it, family's hard. But hiding us? Hurts, Vin. Like I'm your dirty secret. The accusation landed true, and Vincent pulled him close. Apologies murmured into damp hair. I'm trying. God, I'm trying. Valentine's approached and Elias planned a surprise. A drive to the Olympic Peninsula, where rainforests met the sea. They hiked the moss-draped trails of Ho, hands brushing ferns heavy with dew, the world an emerald blur. At Rialto Beach, waves crashed gray and wild, and Elias unpacked a picnic, thermos of soup, crusty bread, chocolate from a chocolatier in Pike Place. To us, he toasted, clinking mugs. Vincent kissed him there, salt on his lips, the ocean's roar swallowing his fears. That night in a cabin rental, fire crackling, they explored each other anew. Slow, worshipful, Elias's camera forgotten on the dresser. Spring teased with crocuses pushing through cracked sidewalks, but Vincent's internal thaw lagged. A work trip to LA loomed, a pitch meeting for a big client, and anxiety gnawed. What if they find out? He confessed to Theo. About Elias. About me. She leaned forward. And if they do? You're talented, Vincent. That's what matters. He boarded the plane with Elias's parting kiss lingering. A talisman. LA was sun and sprawl. Meetings in glass towers where executives nodded at his boards. Success buzzed, but nights in the hotel were hollow. Texts to Elias lighting the screen like lifelines. Miss you, he typed, vulnerable. Miss you more. Came back, with a photo of the apartment bathed in sunset. Returning felt like coming home. Not just to Seattle, but to himself. Yet the pitch landed a curveball. Promotion talk, relocation whispers to the LA office. Vincent flew back dazed. Elias waiting at the gate with a sign scrawled, My jet setter. Over beers at the alibi room, he spilled it. Elias's face fell, then steadied. That's huge, Vin. But us? The question echoed unspoken fears. Vincent gripped his hand under the table. We make it work. Long distance, whatever. I choose us. Summer bloomed, markets overflowing with berries and blooms. They joined a queer book club at Elliott Bay, discussing novels of hidden loves and bold hearts. Elias's arm around his shoulders felt like armor. But one humid night, after a festival in the park, fire dancers and folk bands, Vincent spotted an ex of Elias's, a lithe guy named Theo with tattoos snaking up his arms. They hugged too long, laughter too easy, and jealousy twisted in Vincent's gut like kudzu. Confrontation came quiet, back in the apartment, fans whirring against the heat. Who was that? Vincent asked, voice edged. Elias explained, old flame, ancient history, but the seed planted, doubt sprouting thorns. Trust, fragile as it was, began to fray. The heat wave clung like a fever, turning the apartment into a sauna despite the box fan rattling in the window. Vincent tossed on sweat-damp sheets, Elias's breathing steady beside him. But sleep evaded, chased by visions of Theo's easy grin. By morning, resolve hardened. He wouldn't let insecurity poison this. Over cold brew coffee on the fire escape, legs dangling over the alley, Vincent broached it. Last night, I got jealous. Stupid, I know. Elias set his mug down, turning fully. Not stupid. Valid. But Theo's passed water under the bridge. His hand covered Vincent's, thumb stroking knuckles. You're mine now. My future, if you'll have it. Relief washed cool, and they sealed it with a kiss that tasted of reconciliation, bodies pressing close against the railing. That afternoon, they escaped to Lake Washington, renting kayaks from a dock in Kirkland. Water lapped turquoise, Mount Rainier a distant sentinel under cloudless skies. Vincent paddled ahead, laughter bubbling as he splashed Elias, who retaliated with precision strikes. Beaching on a pebbled shore, they sprawled in the shade of madronas, shirts off, skin bronzing. Elias traced the freckles across Vincent's chest, voice low. You're beautiful, you know that? Vincent flushed, pulling him down into the grass. Their lovemaking urgent and sun-warmed, the lake's whisper their only witness. Back in the city, life synced like a well-oiled reel. Vincent's promotion came through. No relocation, just more responsibility and a bump in pay that let him treat Elias to dinners at Canlis, the view of the Sound sparkling like diamonds. Elias booked a gallery show in Pioneer Square, his series on queer resilience drawing crowds. Portraits of trans elders, leather daddies at the Eagle, young lovers hand in hand at Pride. Vincent attended the opening, suit crisp, heart swelling as Elias dedicated a print to him in the catalog. For V, who taught me vulnerability is strength, but bliss bred complacency, and cracks widened unseen. Vincent's family planned a visit. Mom flying in from Chicago, aunt and uncle from Texas for a long weekend. Panic set in. The apartment, once a sanctuary, felt exposed. What do I say? He asked Theo in session, fingers twisting a tissue. They're conservative, not hateful, but old school. She nodded. Truth in layers. Start with joy. Elias offered to crash at a friend's, giving space, but his eyes held quiet hurt. I get it. Family first. The visit unfolded in awkward choreography. Mom arrived with hugs and bakery cookies, eyes lighting on Vincent's new sketches pinned to the fridge. Proud of you, kiddo. Dinners at Salumi, walks along the waterfront, conversations skirted personal, landing on weather and work. But over pasta one night, Mom probed gently. Anyone special? Vincent's fork paused, Elias's absence a ghost at the table. Yeah, he said, voice steadying. Someone great. Elias, my roommate. He's important. Mom's brow furrowed, then smoothed. Tell me about him. Words tumbled. Elias's laugh, his photos, the way he made coffee strong enough to wake the dead. No labels, just love. She reached across, squeezing his hand. As long as he makes you happy, Han. Tears pricked. Acceptance, partial but real. Elias returned post-visit, arms laden with takeout from Babar. How'd it go? Vincent pulled him into the kitchen, recounting the talk the tentative bridge built. Elias grinned, relief palpable. That's huge. They celebrated on the couch, wine loosening tongues, bodies entwining in a slow burn that reignited sparks. Autumn painted the city in russet and gold, harvest markets brimming with pumpkins and cider. They volunteered at a food bank in the Central District, sorting donations amid chatter of neighbors. Elderly black women sharing recipes, kids stacking cans like towers. Elias captured moments with his phone, Vincent sketching logos for flyers. In the van's dim hold, hands brushed over crates, and Vincent felt the humanism of it. Small acts weaving community. But conflict brewed at work. A new hire, Marcus, all charisma and ivy polish, joined the team, openly gay with a boyfriend who dropped by lunches. Banter flowed easy, but Vincent caught the side eyes, whispers of playing both sides. One Friday, post-pitch, Marcus cornered him in the break room. Heard about you and that photographer. Congrats, man. Takes guts. Gratitude mixed with wariness. Exposure without consent. Home that night, Vincent vented to Elias over pad CEW. It's out there now. Good? Bad? Elias pulled him close. Real. And that's us. Halloween brought costumes and chaos. A party at the Baltic Room. Elias as a flapper-era ghost. Vincent channeling a brooding detective. They danced till sweat slicked, bodies grinding to electronica. The crowd a blur of feathers and fangs. In the cab home, Elias's hand slipped under Vincent's trench coat, fingers teasing. My gumshoe, he murmured, nipping Vincent's ear. The apartment door barely clicked shut before clothes hit the floor, urgency peeking in the hallway, Elias dropping to knees with a wicked grin. Vincent gasped, hands in hair, the world narrowing to sensation. November's gray descended, elections casting long shadows. They marched in a rally downtown, signs aloft, love wins, amid chants and drums. Elias's lens captured the sea of faces, Vincent's arm linked firm. But post-march, over beers at a dive, Elias confessed a shadow. An offer from a gallery in San Francisco, a solo show that meant 3 months away. It's a dream, he said, eyes conflicted. Vincent's stomach dropped. Go. We can handle it. But inside, fear clawed, distance as the thief of sparks. The goodbye at the airport was a quiet ache. Elias's duffel slung over shoulder. Video every night, Vincent promised, kissing him deep. Count on it. Weeks stretched, calls laced with longing, packages arriving. Elias's prints, Vincent's sketches. But temptation lurked. A work happy hour led to flirty texts from an old Portland flame, deleted but haunting. Guilt gnawed, confessed in a late-night call. I shut it down, Vincent said. Elias's voice softened. Trust's a two-way, babe. We're good. Elias's return in February was fireworks. Vincent surprising him at baggage claim with balloons and a sign. My artist. The drive home dissolved in backseat kisses at red lights, tumbling through the door to reclaim lost time. Lovemaking marathon. Bodies rediscovering rhythms. Elias's whispers, missed this. Missed you etching into skin. Spring renewal brought proposals. A joint cabin trip to the Cascades, where snowmelt fed creeks and stars blanketed nights. They hiked to alpine lakes, skinny dipping in icy waters, laughter echoing off peaks. Around a campfire, marshmallows toasting, Elias pulled a small box from his pack. Not a ring, but matching pendants, hammered silver with etched waves. For the tides we ride, he said. Vincent fastened it, throat tight, love a tangible weight. Yet summer simmered with undercurrents. Theo from the festival reappeared, liking Elias's posts, DMs Vincent glimpsed. Innocent catch-ups, but thorns dug deep. One humid night, after a beach bonfire in West Seattle, jealousy erupted. He's circling, Vincent accused, voice raw. Elias recoiled. It's nothing. Why can't you trust? The fight spilled, Vincent's insecurities clashing with Elias's frustrations. Ending in slammed doors, silence thick as fog. Reconciliation came dawn-lit, apologies over coffee. I need to work on this, Vincent admitted. On me. Elias nodded, pulling him close. Together. The argument lingered like smoke, tainting the air even after make-up kisses in the kitchen. Vincent threw himself into therapy harder. Theo's office a confessional for the poison of doubt. Jealousy's fear in disguise, she said, prescribing journaling. Pages filled with raw confessions. The terror of loss, the boyhood whispers of not normal from locker room jabs. Elias gave space, his own sketches turning introspective, figures reaching but never quite touching. To mend, they planned a road trip, Oregon coast, winding Highway 101 through dunes and driftwood-strewn beaches. The old Subaru Elias drove hummed with playlists of road trip anthems. Windows down, salt wind whipping hair. Stops at Cannon Beach, Haystack Rock looming like a sentinel. They built sandcastles as the tide encroached, childish joy erasing lines. In a motel in Yachits, ocean crashing below, they made love with windows open, waves sinking to gasps. We're solid, Elias murmured after, fingers laced. Vincent believed it in that salt-soaked haze. Back in Seattle, the agency buzzed with a major account, sustainable fashion line, queer-owned, and Vincent led the creative, his vision infused with Elias's photos. Models in linen drifts, gazes defiant. Launch party at the Crocodile, indie band pulsing, clients toasting Vincent's name. Elias stood proud in the corner, camera slung, capturing the whirl. But Marcus, ever the networker, sidled up. You two are goals. How'd you know? Vincent smiled, arm around Elias. Fell into it. Best accident. Fall foliage tours replaced beach runs, drives to Snoqualmie Pass where leaves carpeted trails in crimson. They picnicked amid aspens, Elias reading poetry, Walt Whitman, leaves of grass tangling with desire. Vincent listened, heart opening, but family shadows loomed. Dad called from Texas, voice gruff over static. Heard from your mom you're with a guy. That true? Vincent's grip whitened on the phone. Yeah, Dad. Elias. He's good people. Pause stretched eternal. Well, be happy, son. That's all. Click. Elias found him later on the couch, eyes red. He said be happy, Vincent relayed, crumbling. Elias held him through sobs. Love a bomb. Thanksgiving tested bonds. They hosted, Elias's parents flying from Spokane, Vincent's mom from Chicago. The table groaned with turkey, cranberry relish, pies. Awkward toasts gave way to stories. Elias's mom sharing coming-out tales. Vincent's recounting the blanket night in veiled terms. Laughter bridged gaps. Mom pulling Elias aside for the talk. Protective, warm. Hurt him and you're done, she teased. Elias grinned. Never. Winter holidays amplified intimacy. Christmas Eve carols at St. Mark's, candles flickering in the cathedral's nave, their hands clasped in pews. Gifts exchanged by tree light. Vincent a leather-bound sketchbook for Elias. Elias a custom lens filter etched with their initials. New Year's at home, countdown on TV. They slow danced to Coltrane. Resolutions whispered. More adventures, deeper trust. But spring unearthed buried minds. Elias's San Francisco contact resurfaced. A residency offer, 6 months, full funding. It's career-making, he said over dim sum in the ID. Vincent's fork stilled. And us? Elias's eyes pleaded. We did 3 months. We can do 6. Debate raged nights, pros of growth, cons of fracture. Vincent conceded, masking ache. Go. Shine. Send-off mirrored the first. Airport ache. Promises of visits. Vincent filled voids with work, but loneliness echoed in empty rooms. Texts sustained, Elias's SF shots of Castro murals, Vincent's rainy window selfies. A weekend flight south bridged, wandering mission to Carius, bodies reuniting in a hate loft. Worth it? Elias breathed after, but Vincent glimpsed the strain, Elias's exhaustion, the city's pull. Return brought elation, but subtle shifts. Elias more distant, phone glued to edits. Vincent probed gently. Everything good? Nods. Evasive. Summer festivals. Bumbershoot stages throbbing. They danced, but Elias's eyes wandered to old contacts. Theo's name popping in notifications. Vincent swallowed jealousy, but it festered. Labor Day barbecue at a friend's in Magnolia. Grills smoking. Beers chilling. Theo appeared. Uninvited but welcome, hugs lingering. Later, by the fire pit, Vincent overheard. Elias and Theo, voices low, laughter intimate. Heart pounding, he retreated to the kitchen, beer forgotten. Confrontation brewed on the drive home, silence thick. What's with him? Vincent demanded, tires hissing on wet pavement. Elias sighed, just catching up, old friend. Friends don't look at you like that. The fight exploded at red lights, accusations flying. Vincent's paranoia, Elias's secrecy. You think I'm cheating? Elias yelled, pulling over. After everything? Tears streaked. I need space, Vin. This toxicity. It's killing us. Vincent stormed out, walking miles in drizzle. Regret a downpour. Reconciliation texts came dawn. I'm sorry. Come home. Apartment air heavy. They talked till hoarse. Fears laid bare. Theo a symptom of deeper rifts. I invited him to the party, Elias admitted. Testing boundaries. Stupid. Vincent nodded, forgiving but trust-scarred. Fall deepened, leaves rotting underfoot. They attended couples counseling, a queer therapist named Jordan Sessions unpacking patterns. Communication as lifeline, Jordan urged. Homework. Weekly check-ins, no holds barred. It worked tentatively, date nights at the Rep, seeing plays of fractured loves mended. But betrayal's seed sprouted. Late October, Vincent's phone buzzed. An anonymous email, screenshot attached. Elias and Theo, lips locked in a Castro alley, time-stamped during Vincent's visit weekend. Heart-shattering, he confronted, printout trembling. Explain this. Elias blanched, crumbling. It was one night. Stupid, drunk. I swear, it's over. Rage and grief collided, Vincent's voice breaking. One night, while I was there, door slammed, Vincent fleeing to a motel, world crumbling. Days blurred in isolation, texts ignored, work a numb haze. Elias's voicemails pleaded, I love you, let me fix this. Betrayal's blade twisted, Vincent questioning everything. The blanket, the pendants, the vows. The motel room smelled of stale smoke and regret. Neon from a 24-hour diner bleeding through thin curtains. Vincent stared at the ceiling. The screenshot burned into his retinas. Elias's hand in Theo's hair, bodies pressed in shadowed betrayal. Sleep came in fits, dreams of reaching hands dissolving into voids. By noon, he'd texted Theo in session. Cancelled. Work email, personal day. The world outside Seattle's perpetual gray felt mocking. Rain sluicing windows like tears he couldn't shed. Elias's knocks echoed unanswered that first night. Voicemails piling. Vin, please. It was a mistake. I hate myself. Delete. Silence as armor. On day 3, hunger drove him out, to a cafe in Queen and corner booth, black coffee bitter as bile. His phone vibrated. Mom. Heard you're hurting. Talk to me. Voice cracked over the line, spilling the fracture. Oh, honey, she soothed. Betrayal cuts deep, but you're strong. Feel it all, then decide. Her words a lifeline. He returned to the apartment at dusk, key turning like fate. Elias waited in the living room, eyes red-rimmed, floor littered with crumpled tissues. Thank you for coming back. Vincent held up a hand, voice steel. Not for you. For me. To end this clean. Words poured, pain raw, accusations laced with love's remnants. How could you? After the pendants, the promises. Elias sobbed, explanations tumbling. Loneliness in SF's whirl, Theo's persistence, one weak moment. I ended it immediately, came home to you, but trust, once shattered, didn't glue seamless. Vincent packed a bag, essentials, sketches, leaving keys on the counter. I need time, real time. Crash pads cycled. Friend's couch in Ballard, then a sublet in Fremont via Craigslist. Nights blurred into numb routines. Gym till muscles screamed, bars for white Russians that dulled edges. Colleagues noticed, Riley pulling him aside. Take the week. Heal. Freelance dwindled, tablet gathering dust. Therapy ramped. Jordan solo now, unpacking the wound. Betrayal rewires safety, she said. Grieve the dream, not just the act. Elias respected distance, sporadic texts. Thinking of you. No pressure. Vincent read, deleted, heart twisting. Dreams haunted, blanket nights morphing to alleys. Elias's touch poison. A weak moment. Drunk dial, voice slurring. Why wasn't I enough? Elias's reply soft. You were. I failed you. Hang up, regret immediate. Winter gripped, holidays hollow. Mom visited, bundling him in scarves, forcing walks along Alki Beach where gulls wheeled gray. Love isn't ownership, she said, arm linked. But it deserves honesty. Thanksgiving solo at a diner, turkey dry, he sketched strangers' faces, lost, searching. Christmas Eve found him at a queer center's open mic. Elias's name unspoken but heavy. A poem spilled onto stage. Under blankets, we found fire / but dawn brought the thief / now I walk ash-strewn paths / learning to breathe again. New Year dawned sober, resolutions etched in journal. Rebuild self, no contact. Gym became ritual, body hardening, mind sharpening. A new client, nonprofit for LGBTQ youth, reignited passion, designs bold with color. Success whispered healing, but loneliness echoed in empty beds. Spring thawed externally, not within. Elias's gallery show announcement pinged. Resilience 2. Temptation sharp. Vincent attended incognito. Back row. Watching Elias command the space. Voice steady on mic, pride warred with pain. Afterward, alley escape. Tears hot. Elias spotted him, calling out. Vin. Confrontation raw. You moved on. Elias shook head. Haven't dated. Can't. Vincent's resolve cracked. It hurts. Every day. Elias stepped closer, not touching. I know. Let me earn it back. Pull away, but seed planted. Forgiveness fragile bloom. Summer simmered unresolved. Mutual friends mediated coffees. Awkward. Stilted. Elias shared growth. His own therapy, cutting Theo off, focus on art. Vincent admitted progress. Dates attempted, fizzled. Women, men, none fitting the Elias-shaped hole. You're it, he confessed, voice small. Elias's eyes lit. Second chance. Tentative reconnection. Coffee turned walks. Capitol Hills blooms a backdrop. No touches, just words, rebuilding bricks. One evening, over gelato at a park bench, Elias handed an envelope. Letters, one per month of absence. Unsent confessions of regret. Vincent read later, alone, tears salting pages. I see now. Love demands vigilance, not just spark. Fall brought decision. A weekend at the cabin, neutral ground. No expectations. Trails crunched underfoot. Conversations deep. Fears voiced. Boundaries set. By firelight, hands brushed. Held. Slow, Vincent said. Elias nodded. As slow as you need. That night, sleep separate, but dawn found them close, foreheads touching. I choose us. Again. Healing journey wove tentative. Joint therapy with Jordan, unpacking triggers. Dates simple. Farmers market Sundays, hands brushing produce. Intimacy rebuilt in layers. Kisses chased, then deepening, bodies remembering rhythms without rush. Elias's show in November drew Vincent on stage for thanks. Applause thundering like approval. But scars itched. A Theo sighting at a cafe. Elias freezing, then steering away. Stirred ghosts. Vincent breathed through, journaling fury. Progress isn't linear, Jordan reminded. Winter solstice ritual. Bonfire at Golden Gardens, letters to flames. Betrayals burned, intentions spoken. To trust reborn. Spring 2026 bloomed promise. Vincent's promotion solidified. Elias's residency rejected for local roots. Pride Month approached, plans for a float. Their story, anonymous but bold. One night, post-dinner at a Georgetown brewery, Elias knelt, not with ring but vow. Marry me? Not today but someday. Vincent pulled him up, kiss ceiling. Someday. Yet climax loomed unseen. A client dinner, big fish from New York, turned pivotal, but whispers of office politics. Marcus's promotion over Vincent, rumors of favoritism tied to his lifestyle. Rage simmered, confrontation with Riley. Is this why? Her face fell. No, but perceptions. Resignation letter drafted, soul-searching. Elias supported, brainstorming pivots, freelance collective, perhaps. But betrayal's echo resounded. Was the world ready for their whole? The resignation sat heavy in Vincent's inbox. Unsent. A grenade pin pulled halfway. Nights twisted in sheets. Elias's arm at anchor. But mind raced, visions of starting over. The agency's betrayal mirroring personal scars. It's not fair, he muttered one dawn, coffee steaming untouched. Elias rubbed his back, voice steady. No, but you're more than their box. Jordan's session unpacked it. Systemic wounds layered on intimate ones. Advocacy or escape? She posed. Vincent chose hybrid. Counteroffer negotiated. Diversity clause added. A quiet win. Summer swelled with pride's rainbow tide. They built the float. Cardboard waves crashing into acceptance. Photos of intertwined hands. Marching down 4th Avenue. Cheers deafening. Vincent's sign read, Love Rebuilt. Elias captured it all, lens through tears. Post-parade picnic in Cal Anderson. Bodies sprawled on grass. The community a tapestry of survival. A young man approached, eyes wide. Your story in the program inspired me to come out. Vincent hugged him, throat tight. Humanism's quiet power. But crisis crested subtly. Elias's health faltered, exhaustion from shoots, weight dropping. Doctor visits revealed burnout, thyroid whisper. Rest, the doc ordered. Vincent became caretaker. Meal preps, canceled gigs, nights reading aloud from Audre Lorde. Role reversal strained. Elias chafing at dependence, Vincent fearing loss anew. I can't lose you, he confessed during a ferry ride to Bainbridge, wind whipping. Elias gripped railing. You won't, but I need to heal my way. Fall's harvest masked fractures. Vincent's freelance boomed. Queer brands seeking his voice. But Elias withdrew. Sketches dark, figures fractured. One night, post-dinner, Elias shattered. The betrayal. I can't forgive myself. Tears flowed, confessions of shame's grip. Vincent held him, rocking. We both carry it. Together. Thanksgiving brought families again, expanded table, stories shared. Elias's dad clapped Vincent's shoulder. You grounded him. Mom's pie, laughter healing old riffs. But post-feast, Elias collapsed. Panic attack, chest heaving. ER lights harsh, diagnosis anxiety layered on fatigue. I pushed too hard, Vincent blamed. Elias squeezed hand. We both did. Winter deepened isolation. Snow blanketed Seattle rare and thick. Apartment cocooned. They hibernated, board games, stews simmering, bodies entwined for warmth. Intimacy shifted. Less fire, more comfort, hands tracing scars literal and not. Elias's therapy unearthed roots, childhood pressures to man up, queerness as armor. Vincent shared his own. Straight passing privileges guilt, the blanket night's terror of erasure. Crisis peaked mid-January. A storm downed power citywide. Echoes of that first night. Candles flickered, but tension crackled. Elias paced, voice rising. This us feels like walking eggshells. What if I'm broken beyond? Vincent rose, cupping face. Then we shatter together. Rebuild. But Elias pulled away. I need to go solo. A retreat, artist colony in the San Juans. 2 weeks. Vincent's world tilted. Alone. Gnawed. To find my footing. The goodbye ferry sliced gray waters, Elias's duffel light. Call every day, Vincent pleaded. Waves lapped isolation. Days alone amplified doubts. Work emails ignored. Sketches frantic. Mom's call anchored. Space breeds clarity. Journal filled. Fears of abandonment. Love's evolution. Elias's updates trickled. Sketches of isolation. Poems of unraveling. Vincent visited Midway. Cabin on Orcas Island mist-shrouded. Hike to Mountain Lake. Words tumbling. I see now. My betrayal was fear's child. Running from vulnerability. Vincent nodded. Tears freezing on cheeks. And mine, clinging too tight. Embrace by water's edge. Forgiveness's thaw. Return brought renewal, but scars pulsed. Valentine's low-key. Bath drawn. Rose petals floating. Bodies slow reuniting. Whispers of I choose you. Broken and all. Spring equinox ritual. Planting seeds in window boxes. Literal growth mirroring internal. Yet external storm brewed. Agency merger rumors swirled. Queer initiatives cut. Vincent rallied colleagues. Petition circulated. Marcus allied, redemption arc victory small, clause saved, but exhaustion mounted. Elias's show loomed. Fractured light. Raw exposures of pain's beauty. Opening night. Gallery packed. Vincent's toast. To the breaks that let light in. Applause, but backstage Elias faltered. Overwhelm crashing. Vincent guided him out. Alley air cool. Breathe with me. Summer solstice marked pivot. They quit the apartment. Too haunted, relocating to a queen and walk up. Views of the Olympics. Packing unearthed relics. The blanket, folded reverent. Our origin, Elias said. New space breathed fresh. Walls blank for joint art. Kitchen for experiments. But climax detonated August heat. Theo resurfaced. Email to Elias. Apology laced with miss you. Intercepted by accident. Vincent's rage reignited. Confrontation exploded. Delete him. Block. Or we're done. Elias complied, but fracture widened. Control isn't trust, he countered. Nights cold, words weapons. Breaking point. Cabin retreat. Unannounced. Vincent drove Cascades curves. Arriving storm-lashed. Elias opened door. Surprise softening to sorrow. You came. Words cascaded, hurt's litany. Love's plea. I can't keep fearing loss. Elias knelt, not in proposal but surrender. Then let's end the cycle. Therapy intensive, weekends away. Agreement born in rain, bodies colliding desperate. Reclaiming. Healing deep in fall. Couples intensives in the Palouse wheat fields golden witnesses to vulnerability. Stories shared. Elias's exes before, Vincent's straight flings regrets. Laughter crept back, tentative. Winter's end whispered hope. One night, snow falling soft, Elias pulled a ring. Simple band, wave-etched. Marry me, for real. Vincent's yes trembled, kiss ceiling. Spring 2027 erupted in verdant fury. Cherry blossoms carpeting queen and streets like confetti for their quiet ceremony. City Hall, mid-morning slot, witnesses mom and Elias's sister. Small, intimate vows exchanged over Puget Sound views. In fractures we found whole, Vincent said, ring sliding warm. Elias's eyes shone. And in you, home. Kiss sealed, photos snapped. Two men, hands clasped, futures intertwined. Honeymoon local, San Juan's ferry hops. Kayaking Emerald Bays. Cabins with lofts for stargazing. Lovemaking lazy, mornings tangled. Afternoons exploring lighthouses where keepers once signaled safety. This is us? Elias murmured, thumb tracing band. Vincent nodded, peace settling like fog lifting. Return to rhythms refined. Vincent launched his studio, Tide Designs, queer-focused Elias photographing campaigns. Agency passed a footnote, freedom's canvas vast. Community deepened. Mentorship at the youth center, Vincent guiding sketches, Elias leading photo walks. A kid named Riley, coincidence poignant, shared his blanket story, eyes wide. You made it okay to question. Vincent hugged him. It is okay. Always. Summer brought challenges. Elias's thyroid flare, Meds adjusted. Vincent's portfolio pitch rejected by a conservative firm. Setback stung, but toolkit honed. Therapy check-ins, date nights mandatory. One rejection eve. Over waterfront gelato, Elias quipped, "Their loss. Our gain." Laughter therapy binding tighter. Fall harvest festivals, pumpkin patches in Kent, hayrides bumping. Families blended seamless. Barbecues where dads swapped grilling tips, moms plotted holidays. Vincent's dad visited, handshake evolving to backclap. Proud son. He's a keeper. Whispers of grandkids danced light. No pressure, just possibility. Adoption dreams sketched in quiet talks. Winter solstice party. Friends crammed the walk-up, tree twinkling, eggnog spiked. Toasts to resilience, dances to queer carols. Midnight, balcony snow-dusted. Elias pulled Vincent close. 1 year. Feels like always. Reflection. The blanket spark to ring's permanence. Path pocked but purposeful. Spring renewal, Elias's book deal. Light through cracks. Photos with Vincent's essays. Launch at Elliott Bay. Lines snaking block. Readings raw. Vincent's words on betrayal's gift. It taught me love's labor, not lightning. Applause thundered. Signings till wrists ached. A fan approached. Your story saved me. Humanism's echo profound. Summer travels, road trip Texas, Vincent's roots. Dad's ranch, barbecues under stars, Elias charming with camera. City boys surviving, Dad teased. Heart mended, bridges built. Fall deepened commitments. Adoption seminars, fostering talks, visions of family expanding. Little ones with your eyes, Elias dreamed. Vincent smiled, hand on belly flat. Or your smile. Winter's hush brought quiet crisis. Elias's anxiety spike, panic mid-shoot. Are again, but tools ready, breathing, meds, Vincent's steady voice. You're safe. Recovery slow, but gratitude deepened. Valentine's vow renewal backyard, friends witnessing. Through storms, they echoed. Spring 2028. Positive foster match, twin boys, 5, from the center. Chaos joyful. Finger paints on walls, bedtime stories trios. Elias's lens captured first steps into love. Vincent's designs funded their room. Family chosen and fierce. Years wove tapestry. Studio thrived. Book tours crisscrossing coasts. Challenges came, health dips, work slumps, but core held. Weekly check-ins, annual retreats. Pride floats evolved, their float afloat of families now. 10th anniversary. Cabin return. Blanket refold on bed. Remember, Elias whispered. Vincent pulled him down. Every thread. Lovemaking timeless, bodies maps of endurance. Ages crept. 30s to 40s. Grays threading hair. Lines etching laughs. Boys grew. Teens with crushes navigated gentle, queerness normalized. Grandparents' mom and Elias's folks. Spoiling shameless. Crisis revisited rarely. Theo a faded note. Agency's ghost story. Betrayal's lesson. Love vigilant. Self first. Final summer, 60s dawning, they hiked old trails, hands arthritic but linked. Best accident, Vincent said, echoing origins. Elias grinned. Best choice. In quiet evenings, porch swings creaking, stories retold. The blanket's reach, the hand not stopped. Legacy. 2 lives woven, ripples in community. Youths mentored, art inspiring, love's proof in persistence.